an interplay here. If you are going to discern, make sure that you have your confidence in the Lord, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Number 2, both yourself and others. Check. Don't act out of fear. They intimidated him by libelious activities. He wants to make himself something that he was never thinking of. And then he will start trying, like so many of us. I wasn't trying to. Even you can name if I was trying to. You just be like the young prophet. You went to the king, told him what the Lord told you. The children heard it. Because they heard it, they went and told their father. Their father said, okay. He prepared in advance and invited you. Before you came, he had your antidote. I think what you will say is that God told you not to. I'll tell you now that an angel told me you should. And he went. His jealousy and wickedness overthrew him. If you are going to discern, brethren, and you are going to judge both yourself and others, remember what the Lord Jesus said. Remember what the Lord said. Except a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone. When it dies, it will bear much fruit. Present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable. That's the only way you can't be discerning when you are too much in the flesh. Neither can you make judgment, because your judgment will not be right. Should such a man as I flee? That's what he said. There's an Anglican hymnal that we used to sing in those days. Where duty calls or danger, be never wanting there. Where duty or danger calls, I'll be a soldier and I'll die at my post. That's one thing you can guarantee. You look for me, the last breath, I'm defending my position. You don't just flee because they threatened you. That's not how it works. And I tell you, being a soldier of Christ is far more formidable than any military in the whole world. Who is there such as I who will go into the temple to save his life? I will not go in. Then I perceived that God had not sent him at all. I was able to judge that God had not sent him. Why? Because he read what was inside the message. The message was fear for me. The message was intimidation. The message was self-preservation. That cannot be from God. I'm ready to go in and take the bullet. And of course, you know how the other man said, give me this power. How come Peter was able? Because he said, give me this power also. So, don't see you for strengthen the weak hands, which make straight paths for your feet, so that what is lame may not be dislocated. Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Now, verse 15. Looking carefully, lest anyone fall short of the grace of God. Lest, and notice, how can I discern what is right and wrong? Make sure there's no root of bitterness springing up to cause trouble. If you hate somebody, whatever that person does, you will always see fault. Bitterness springing up. When you have a woman hated by the husband and a man hated by the wife, no matter what you do. So make sure that as you are trying to judge, check yourself. This thing you are trying to assess, if it is done by somebody you like, no problem. This person you don't like, all you see from the beginning is fault. Fault 1, fault 2, fault 3, fault 5. And that's why the Bible says, beware of offense. It's bound to come. But it's nothing as deadly in a Christian life like somebody who has allowed himself to be hoisted with the altar of offense. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. Number 2, don't be short-sighted as you evaluate. Don't be short-sighted. Esau was looking at the food. Nah, I'm hungry, but the firstborn now, so I'm going to make you forget this firstborn. Make you put wakis for me. As in, waiting be all this firstborn. What am I doing with firstborn? When I'm famished, I'm dying. Don't be short-sighted. That thing that is an excruciating need today may not exist tomorrow. Meanwhile, you've sold your birthright. Be very careful. Be very, very careful. You know that afterward, when he wanted to inherit the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place for repentance, though he sought it with tears, diligently with tears. There are some things that no matter what you do, the consequences cannot be obliterated. There are things like the case of this short man, Zacchaeus. He said, I'll pay fourfold everything. And in the case of Ziba and Mephibosheth, David told him, I told you to take everything, now we divide it. And sometimes we need to go back and make amendment. That's what the Bible calls restitution. Because everything is not just flowing. I know that the modern people may not like it, but I can assure you that when the Jews say, let his blood be upon us and upon our children's children, that's what we are still in till tomorrow. So it is important to remember there are certain things you have to do, and there are certain things you may cover up. Assuming somebody plucks out somebody's eye, and he says, I'm sorry for doing that. Okay? You are forgiven. What happens? Is the person's eye back? He said, I'm going very... What about if he killed the person? He's dead. So let's be very, very careful and pray. But if there's once you can, make sure we don't continue in error. That's one. Don't continue. Two, amend the things you can amend. Our God is not a punitive God, but he's a God of justice and a God of truth.
We end Living Springtime with Bishop Dr.
Praise the
Amaechi.
Lord. I believed we all paid a maximum attention to the clip because it will be a more of interaction in our Bible study this evening. But before then, we'll go into some of the things that Daddy made mention in the clip. There are three cardinal points that he made mention of. Number one is how we can get discernment. Number two is how we can learn and grow in discernment. And the third one, testing or judging discernment both in me, in myself, and in you. And number one, which says how we can get discernment. Daddy made mention of what is written in James 1, 6 to 8, where he said, but let him who acts in faith with no doubting. Before we can get discernment, we will not be the people that are faithless in our asking. When we ask God in faith, believing that discernment that you're asking God, that God will give it to you, that God will give it to me. We will not be people that, like James said, that let him not ask for, he said here, but he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. When we are faithless in our asking, we don't expect to receive that which we are asking God of. But when we believe God, asking him for discernment, he will give it to us. And also, there are some things which are in the second one, how we can learn and grow in discernment. There are some factors that Daddy made mention of. When he read Hebrews 5 from verse 14, Hebrews chapter 5 from verse 14, he said, but solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use, and he made so much emphasis on that reason of use. And in summary, he brought about some of the factors that we have to have in our lives as children of God in order to learn and grow in discernment. Number one is usage/practice. Number two, self-debt. Number three, faith. Number four, patience. Number five, time. And number six, love. And Daddy deliberated more on self-debt, time, and practice. He said that before we can grow or learn discernment, we must be the people that will be dead to self. He said that a carnal man cannot glorify God. A carnal man cannot be discerning. And he also said that we should have it in our mind that if we fall today, you rise up again and keep on pushing. Maybe you discern today, you didn't get it well, you shouldn't stay where you are. You should arise. And he also made mention of that when people that normally says I don't want to make mistake, or I don't want to make mistake, that we should move away from such people, because such people can't grow in discernment, and such people cannot even encourage us in any form or in any manner. And Daddy also said that his pain is that some of we Christians wants to be what the Bible never teaches. You don't want to take the baby step. When you give a birth to a child, you don't expect that child to start walking immediately. The child will pass a process before she will start walking. The same thing with discernment. We will learn the baby step. As we learn it, we keep on growing. That is the self-death that is being applied to it. And the time that is also applied is not what you do one day and tomorrow you leave it. It is a continuous thing. And Daddy also deliberated more on practicing. It's just like the man that was given one talent, he went and buried it. Do you think that that talent yielded any profit? Did it yield any profit? It did not. But when we have asked God for discernment, and God have graciously given it to us, it is now our duty to practice it. And Daddy also said that practice makes perfect. When you practice it on day-by-day basis, you see yourself grow. You see yourself make the mistake. You allow yourself, as Daddy also emphasized on self-death, you should be ready to take the bullet. We should be ready to take the correction that is involved in it. When Daddy was talking about practice, I remembered when I started learning how to make my donut. I went to buy one from a shop, and the young man was selling me. As he was giving me the donut, I ate it, and it was nice. I said, "Who did this?" He told me it was him. I looked at the young boy. He was around 16, 17, 18. And I said, "Young man, please, I want to learn this." And he said, "If you can come, I will teach you." And I said, "No problem." I didn't look at his age. Because I have desired this skill, I want to learn it. He gave me his terms and his condition that I should come early, around 6:30, to his parents' house. And I went. I was there even before 6:30 because my mind was in it. I was there. I was able to learn from him as young as he was. He was correcting me. Yes, I was able to take the correction. And from there, I learned it. I started practicing it, started using it. The first day that I made for the church, I can remember Mommy calling me, telling me, "This thing, there's so much oil inside it. Do it this way, do it the other way." Honestly, I went home, I applied it. It became more better. I went to the internet, I searched for more, and I applied it. It became more better. People were demanding for it. When I was starting, I was with one painter, but before I stopped it, I was doing 1 bag, 2 bag in a week, 2 bag of flour in a week because of the demand. So this is the practice aspect of it. The same thing with each and every one of us, our field. As we practice it, we become better. The same thing with discernment. As we practice discernment in our life on daily basis, using it in our home, in the decision that we make on daily basis, in our workplace, we find out that we keep on growing and growing. And Daddy also talks about testing or judging discernment both in my life and in the life of others. Number one thing that he said that we should not chunk people off. We should allow people to make their mistakes. Because that person that is making that mistake may be growing. That we should allow people to make mistakes. As he said, that he allowed people to make mistake on him. He pays you even on your mistake as a worker. He will pay you. And he said that some of them, that where they are now, it is not where they were when they started. Is it true, please? Amazing Lover staffs. That is the truth. It's not where they are now. They are better off. They are doing well in their skills. We should give people a chance. It's not because we have arrived, the next person that is still struggling to arrive will be so much on the person. We shall allow them. Number 2, it says that we should not seek our own glory, but we should seek the glory of God. That thing that I'm about discerning, is it for my self-glorification, or is it to the glory of God? That decision I'm about taking, we should discern to the glory of God. And the third one is, it says here, that we should be the people that will accept our wrong. When you are wrong in discerning, accept that you are wrong. He said that some people have stayed in a spot for years, for months, because they are incorrigible. They cannot be corrected. They have reached to the point that they don't accept their wrong. And he also brought about self-death, which is the element of pride. That a proud man, a carnal man, cannot serve God, cannot be discerning. If you are somebody that you are too much of yourself, I am too much of myself, that I cannot be discerning. And Daddy also said here about having our confidence in God and not acting in fear. As we discern or learning discernment or judging discernment in my life or in the life of others, we should have our confidence should be in the Lord, and we shouldn't act in fear. Honestly, this is very important. When we have the confidence that God have told you something, it may be you out of so many people. It may be only you standing in your office. It may be only you standing in that village meeting. But I shouldn't be afraid to declare the counsel of God.